Hello, welcome to the State of Calamity. Sorry about that distraction, 34.7. Hopefully that's accurate. It seems that I'm still hanging in there. So let us begin. Welcome to the show. The goal of this podcast is to identify calamity, wherever it may be, however controversial, however unpolitically correct, and to discuss it openly. Let us begin with what's on everybody's mind right now, I believe, wherever you may be, coronavirus, also called COVID-19. Well, as we all know and see and feel, social distancing is everywhere. Not allowed to be close to anyone anymore. Stand clear, stay away. And I'm kind of starting to worry, how are we going to get back from all of this? I'm actually getting used to spending my days and my nights without being around people, driving in areas with no cars, going to closed restaurants that I wish were open that are not, pulling up to McDonald's only to find that the drive-thru is roped off. But I'm starting to get used to no social interaction. I'm starting to get used to Netflix. I'm starting to get used to watching 7 or 8 back-to-back shows at a time. So the question I'm asking myself and everyone else is, how do you get back from here? When people walk by, I stay clear and they stay clear. Is there going to be a time when we come back together and are no longer afraid to bump elbows in the hallway? Or are we always going to be watching our space and keeping our distance? At this time, even when I go through a drive-thru, which happens to be open, I reach my arm out very carefully, as do the cashiers, barely touching every bill. All my change goes into the donation box. That's good news. Should have done that anyways. Now I'm doing it every time. I just am curious if there is a way back. As of today, coronavirus cases in the world, 940,733, 47,518 deaths. It's at the point where watching the news, I feel something not quite right about this. There's a countdown, or I should say a count up. If you look away and look back, you notice on the screen more deaths. As you're watching a show, the count keeps increasing, death by death by death. I really hate to see it, and I'm not sure it's the right thing to do. Total recovered, 196,214, and that is the good news. United States of America, apparently, supposedly, proclaimedly leading the world in healthcare. 215,344 cases, 5,112 deaths. Italy, 110,000 plus new total cases, 13,000 deaths. China, 81,589 cases, 3,318 deaths. And the list goes on, and I won't read the list to you because, as you all know, everywhere we look, everywhere we turn, lately, it seems like it's all bad news. I never remember a time in my lifetime when watching the news there would be a death count increasing by the minute in real time. How long will it take until we go back to social closeness? Will we ever? Will we be immune to the new reflex when someone coughs or sneezes? We run, we hide, we duck, we cover. We don't share food, we don't touch each other. Can we ever undo this reflex, or is this the new normal? Are we all going to end up isolated socially in ways that we never expected? Work from home, how do you get back from that? Are we creating a world in which we don't interact as much with people? We stay within our own bubble, we visit friends and families in the virtual world? Funerals taking place through FaceTime, through live streaming. It reminds me of a Black Mirror Twilight Zone episode. I'm not sure where it goes from here, how much worse it gets, and how we get back to normal, if ever. On another note, as we all sat back in our homes around the world, watching the news, watching politicians struggle to pass bills to save economies, to save nations, adding political spin, adding whatever could be added to leverage various things in the interests of their parties, possibly even themselves. Meanwhile, the average person sits back while their retirement and savings crashes at record speeds. We realize we're all at the mercy of politicians and partisan disputes that cost time, uncertainty, and I think ultimately shake our confidence in the system. And I'm not speaking for any particular country, but overall globally. Look how long it took for us all to take it as seriously as we needed to. What about Elon Musk offering to make ventilators for Governor Cuomo and the people of New York? Hats off to Elon and Tesla. He tried to help with the Thailand cave rescue. He's revolutionizing space travel. And now he'll try to help save lives in New York and beyond by repurposing factories to make ventilators and maybe medical supplies such as masks. Makes me want to buy a Tesla. Honestly, people stepping forward and offering to help right now that can make a difference goes such a long way and is part of the history of humanity as it's being written as we speak. People will look back on this time 50 years from now and beyond, and I'm sure read about this in school. And all of this will be studied and evaluated. There will be new heroes, there will be new villains. Prince Charles tested positive for COVID-19. Senators, heads of state, it seems it's everywhere. How can it be avoided? If we all just lock ourselves up for 2 weeks, no contact with anybody, it dies. It can live on surfaces for maybe 5 or 6 days, live in the air for 3 days. Then whichever homes contain those who are sick can be addressed and treated. Meanwhile and thereafter, the virus dies on the streets and tables and surfaces and door handles, dead after 5 days. Then we just have to treat the homes with illnesses and the rest of the world can go back to work. Can the world close for 2 or 3 weeks entirely? If so, it seems therein lies our solution, at least from what we know so far. Talking about the virus, it's very interesting and concerning, and many other words that are disturbing. The virus basically launched right around the Chinese New Year in China. Is this a coincidence? Some type of divine intervention or other intervention? Is there more to the story? This is not a conspiracy podcast, so I won't go into too much further detail. But is it true there is a biowarfare lab in Wuhan? Imagine if it was an accidental or intentional sabotage. Release of a biowarfare agent. Wow. It spread from one city all the way around the world, including to presidents, princes, senators, dinner tables, and removed trillions of dollars from the world economy, from all of our pockets, our paychecks, our bank accounts. And now China is in the lead, it seems, in terms of recovery ahead of the rest of the world. I'm not drawing any conclusions here at this point, but really it started on Chinese New Year, or maybe it started earlier and was not reported until then. But in any case, the timing is really quite unusual. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, located in Wuhan. Interesting. However, according to Forbes, there's no COVID-19 coronavirus link to bioengineering. There's research that debunks the idea. Oh, and Bruce Lee, the senior contributor, wrote that article, which is just in the last 3 days. Not sure though, it sure is coincidental. US military was in Wuhan at the time. Coincidental perhaps. Biowarfare type lab in Wuhan. Coincidental perhaps. Happened on Chinese New Year. Coincidental perhaps. China among the first to stabilize. Coincidental perhaps. By the way, let's touch base on the state of the world. We're all stuck at home, at least most of us, eating the junkiest food with the least exercise imaginable for a very long time. We'll all need new clothes with bigger sizes when this is over. We're all gaining weight, becoming unhealthy and unfit. Those of us, some of us, not myself included, might be working out at home. Not me. Not easy. Being socially isolated, it's a little hard to get motivated for fitness. When this is over, there should be a surge of demand for getting back into shape. I sure hope so, for myself included. Personally, I've been living on Big Macs, Egg McMuffins, and pizzas for more than 2 weeks with no end in sight. In fact, I go to McDonald's and I buy 10 or 15 meals and I freeze them. And I don't end up eating them. I eat a few. They're not very good frozen and microwave, by the way. I end up giving them away and stocking back up and go through repeated motions, just worried that maybe tomorrow there will be no more McDonald's open. And then what will we do? So in any case, looking at the present tense, America stock market futures, well, tomorrow they're pointing up to a slight gain. I made the decision to invest in some sinking cruise lines. Since they've been beaten down so low, how much lower could they go? We shall see. It turns out that the cruise lines such as Carnival, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean are not in fact US companies and therefore will not benefit from the recently passed stimulus package of over $2 trillion US. Therefore, they face big challenges ahead. Who will save them? Essentially being shut down. US-based airlines such as Delta and United, of course, will benefit from the stimulus package, but what about the cruise lines? It is yet to be determined. The stock market at this point, up or down 5% in a day, seems like another day at the office. Not so long ago, 5% up or down would have been cause for alarm. Now it takes 10 to 12% to get to that point. Very interesting times, that is for sure. I would say just a thought, why not give nurses and doctors in countries that are already ahead of the curve visas to come to help in countries that are surging like USA, Italy, Spain, etc.? Why not make it easy? Countries that are under control, give them a visa, let them come and help. If they're able to leave their own countries, that is, at the time, based on the state of affairs there. I believe that China is trying to help. China's sending supplies, China's sending staff, and I know that that's much appreciated. Russia just sent a plane full of supplies to America, much appreciated. And America, apparently President Donald Trump gave a pledge to return the favor once it's under control in America. And hopefully that happens. Hopefully there's collaboration amongst world leaders to help solve this. It doesn't seem like it's very manageable to solve in an isolated bubble, one state, one country. It really takes one world. I'm really surprised. Why is America so unprepared for a pandemic? Who's in charge of pandemic preparedness and how could this happen? Not only in the USA, but everywhere. I feel that, and I could be wrong, in my opinion, the world looks to countries like America and others as a symbol of preparedness. One would think that the USA would probably be among the most prepared for such a situation, when in fact it seems that we are among the least prepared for such a situation. And I believe that causes great alarm for the rest of the world that is probably in fact far less prepared, although in some cases more prepared. Speaking of preparedness, recent article just came out today in the Philippines, and I'll read the quote. This is from Rappler.com. "Shoot them dead, Duterte orders troops to kill quarantine violators. I will not hesitate, my orders." And some of it's in Tagalog, which I'll skip as I do not fully understand the Tagalog language. But essentially, facing unrest from Filipinos running out of resources, President Duterte ordered police and soldiers to shoot residents causing trouble during the government's lockdown put in place to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus. Apparently, there were a little over 20 arrests based on 21 people arrested for reasons of protesting without a permit. There's a little bit of controversy saying that they were actually hungry residents looking for food. But in any case, I do declare a state of calamity. Blessings to those who have passed and those who are fighting for recovery and to all of their families and friends. Good to see that in America and other countries, the military is starting to be utilized. I never thought I'd say this, but I am saying this now. It sure seems that at this point, having troops deployed, it feels like martial law wherever you may be, I'm assuming. At least where I am and where I've been, it has. At this point, it seems though the time has come when that is what is necessary. I wonder why that's not throughout America in every state. Checkpoints, temperature checks, and everything else that can be done to control this virus. Why is America allowing violators of the quarantine? I'm not recommending the shoot them dead response. However, I personally recommend enforce the quarantine response. Why do senators, presidents, cabinet members, and their families get VIP testing, even in their own homes, when doctors and nurses who are frontline caregivers in this war are not able to get tested, even when they have symptoms, and continue to treat patients? And if they're sick, they're sent home or continue to work. Meanwhile, there are many cases globally, and I won't cite specifics, of VIPs and politicians and their families being tested when tests are not available for those that are sick at hospitals or frontline caregivers, those with power and wealth and political stature being tested at home, as well as their families. One question regarding in Southeast Asia, back to the Philippines. The Philippines numbers seem a bit low compared to what reality might suggest it would be. And the question is, why is the Philippines only testing people who have traveled within 14 days or been in contact with a known positive case, even if they have severe symptoms and are hospitalized? In other words, if you're very sick and you go to the hospital and you have symptoms of COVID-19 coronavirus, but you haven't traveled within 14 days and you haven't been in contact with a known positive case, you will not be tested. You might be treated, which at this point means observation. There is really no treatment in the Philippines, from what I've heard. So it's more of observation and relieving symptoms, but there will not be a test. So only those being tested are those that meet the 14-day travel window, within 14 days travel or with a confirmed positive case. In fact, there's also word that I can't confirm that I've heard that those that have gone to hospitals and died fairly rapidly are not being tested after death. I feel the numbers are probably understated. And that's based on Department of Health practices, apparently so according to news articles and so forth in the Philippines. Not all of this can be collaborated, but it seems to be exactly what's happening. What good does it do to lock down and quarantine if it's not enforced for everyone? People still allowed to violate it without consequences in many areas of the world. I'm just curious, countries like Bangladesh, one of the leading clothing manufacturers in the world, can they repurpose those factories to make masks in bulk fast? I think they can. Is there global leadership, local leadership? No blame on Bangladesh, no blame on any country. It's more of a collaboration amongst leaders to do what's right, help those countries experiencing the surges the worst, the first, and reciprocate once that time has come when they stabilize and they can then return the favor. Well, one law that I think we must pass, no kissing for 15 days worldwide. Remember, you can pass the virus even if you are asymptomatic. It seems that we all need to learn to lay low, hide in place, social distance. Zoom stock continues to soar as the world goes all online in all ways, including socially, business meetings, even online dating is soaring apparently. It's definitely time to declare a state of calamity. That's the point we're at. And on one other topic that I'm really curious about, I listen on the news to governors such as Governor Cuomo in New York, and I certainly have great respect for the governor, talking about all the needs of the state of New York and the frontline workers without masks. And I see in the news all of the hospital workers using trash bags as protective gear and wearing masks all day and not changing them. Yet, when I did a little research and contacted a few friends, I found factories quite easily within a few days capable of shipping as many as 600,000 disposable masks per day and 1 million KN95 masks per week with 5-day FedEx delivery to America, nonstop, ongoing, at very low prices. In fact, less than half the price that Governor Cuomo stated on national television that he paid for the millions of masks that he purchased from China, I believe, from China. And yet, why is there such a problem obtaining these supplies? Just to see if it would help in any way, I sent an email to hospitals throughout America and many states, also to Governor Cuomo and to others, offering them these exceptionally low prices and very high volumes with 5-day delivery times on this equipment, and I never had a single response. When you think of everybody desperate for this equipment, masks to start with, KN95 masks, N95 masks, alcohol, personal protective equipment, and yet, and I'm not in the business of shipping and manufacturing this equipment, I just made a few phone calls. How is it possible that we can't get these to everyone that needs them quickly? I'm just one person who reached out to a few people. I believe there are solutions at hand, and I believe that we're just simply not doing enough at this time. In closing, I do believe we have reached critical mass in a state of calamity, and I certainly hope and pray that we as a world can come together to defeat this virus. Warmer weather is coming. We don't know if that will help. We certainly hope it will. In any case, it seems that the solution comes not individually as a country, but collectively as a world, with all of humanity coming together to address the issue strategically with reciprocity, helping those in greatest need first with return of reciprocity at the proper time. As you can see, I'm broadcasting from thousands of miles away. I did take my temperature. I'm still in good shape, avoiding the coronavirus from outer space. Thank you for joining our podcast. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Take care to everybody. Stay healthy, and remember, 15 days, no kissing rule, social isolation. Be safe, be well. God bless.